And right now we're in the Hollywood Hills.
Yes, we just drove down Hollywood Boulevard and we saw like the Walk of Fame and it was so cool. I'm finally the same height as you. Yay!
It only takes a rail and a balcony. That's all it takes. A rail and a balcony. In a hotel in LA. In the middle of nowhere somewhere. Arizona, Utah, I don't know. But we're in the middle of some canyon. There's a river down. What's wrong with you?
There's something on my foot.
Something's biting Brittany's foot. She didn't bring any shoes, folks. She brought sandals to come to the We're in the Rockies. Rocky Mountains.
I didn't think about needing closed-toed shoes, okay? It is July.
We're grizzly bears.
People wear flip-flops in July.
Alright, so we are currently, right now, driving on Route 66.
Historic Route 66.
Historic Route 66. This On the Map series is brought to you by Chambliss & Rabel. For all your commercial and residential construction needs, contact Chambliss & Rabel today.
On this edition of On the Map, we take in the sights and sounds of the 3 beaches that surround Wilmington. We dine right off Wrightsville Beach listening to the ocean at Oceanic, and we learn about this magnificent engineering marvel, the U.S.S. North Carolina. Crystal blue water hugging the shore, surfers riding the cresting waves, toes in the sand as people walk, taking in the smell of the salt air that lingers for miles. This scene is a picture-perfect postcard view that you can find at any of the 3 beaches surrounding Wilmington. Carolina Beach, Cure Beach, and Wrightsville Beach have each developed their own flavor, and with that, a personality attracting different people according to their desires. On any given day at Carolina Beach, you can find an experience the whole family can enjoy, such as grabbing a time-tested treat that has become synonymous with Carolina Beach, Britt's Donuts.
Plain Jane donuts. There's nothing special about them, but there's something special about the taste. This is a great donut. Britt's Donuts.
Or taking in the many sights of the boardwalk on a Surrey. At Cure Beach, you may find yourself in the mood to take in a historic afternoon at Fort Fisher, stepping back in time through a great Civil War reenactment, or learning about aquatic life at the aquarium. There is so much to do, you may find yourself in the mood to make it a week-long vacation. If that's the case, any of these fine beaches have accommodations to suit, but a suggestion from us would be to rent an awesome beach home with access to the water on Wrightsville Beach.
Walking down Wrightsville Beach, you will pass a pier or two. Walk down it long enough and you will find one of the best restaurants for al fresco dining, the Oceanic.
You know, it's definitely a great venue for outdoor dining. I can't think of anywhere else in the area where you can get this sort of experience, you know, right on the ocean like this. And not to mention the staff and everybody that we have here. They're extremely hard workers. You know, we have great service, great quality of product. You know, it's kind of the whole 9 yards.
Oceanic is all about great food, right?
Absolutely.
So why don't you tell me a little bit about what we're going to try in front of us here?
Well, we've got an appetizer here. It's bacon wrapped shrimp. It's got Creole mustard. It's got fresh corn salsa, and it's got Cajun spice.
Oh wow!
And it's definitely one of the favorites here. Everybody seems to love it. It's shrimp wrapped in bacon. How can you go wrong?
Right. You can see the bacon there.
Yeah, absolutely.
And then what else do we have?
Now this is our wasabi tuna salad, and obviously rare seared tuna. And it's coated in sesame seeds, and one of my favorite things about it are the sesame seeds because it's a mixture of black sesame seeds and wasabi coated sesame seeds, which that's kind of what makes it for me. Yeah, I like to eat them by themselves. You know, so it's a great salad year-round, honestly.
Absolutely. I mean, it's got good little garnishes around there, some tomatoes.
Oh yeah, a lot of color, lots of different stuff that you don't normally see in salads, and we're using heirloom tomatoes in those.
Oh, that's great.
Obviously not as easy to come by those in the wintertime as it is the summertime, but you know, when we can get the fresh local stuff, we like to go with that. So.
Well, y'all are all about kind of making sure that you're not encumbersome on the environment, right? I mean,
absolutely. That's why you don't have a straw in your beverage. You know, we want to make sure that we're not trashing the beach. You know, we're right here on the ocean. You know, if you come out and have dinner, in particular on our pier, unless you ask for it, you're not going to have a straw in your drink, because we're just trying to reduce the amount of stuff that blows down the beach and things like that.
And if you do get a straw, you're going to get like a biodegradable kind of
absolutely. Thing. Yeah, they're a little bit more expensive, but in the long run, it's worth it.
What do you call this lovely
This is the Stumbling Islander. To put it in spectrum, it's kind of the Long Island iced tea of rums. It's got light rum, dark rum, spice rum, coconut rum. It does have a little bit of vanilla vodka in there. And then you got orange juice, pineapple juice, little grenadine,
all that stuff.
Give it that pretty color there.
Thrown in.
And yeah, it's we're on an island, so why not? You know.
It's good. It's mixed well. It's not too strong. All that rum in there. It's not too strong.
The vanilla flavor and the vodka definitely tones it down a little bit. The juices tone it down a little bit. But I guarantee you 2 or 3 of those, and you will be a stumbling islander.
All right, we got the shrimp. Got the lemon. Let's just dig in. I just ruined that pretty plate. I just ruined it.
That's what it's there for.
I love that, man. I love that taste. And like you said, you can't go wrong with anything wrapped in bacon.
Absolutely not.
But the shrimp and then the sauce as a kicker. What did you say that sauce was called?
Creole mustard.
Creole mustard. That's good. That's good stuff.
Our menu, we focus on local seafood here. We do try to keep it seasonal. We give it a fresh look every spring and every fall. But you know, we stick with the local purveyors. We stick with fresh local seafood. We do have a few other options for those people who just, you know, want to come for the service and the views but aren't particularly interested in seafood. You know, we have chicken options, we have steak options, we have, you know, vegetarian options, you know, but seafood's definitely the focus.
Let's try some of these scallops out here.
You know, you've got your creamy polenta, and it's topped with roasted tomato aioli.
Oh.
You got grilled asparagus, and then your tomato fresco there.
That's great.
Going along with it.
Oh man, that's got a lot of flavor. And it's really sweet, actually. Absolutely top notch. I don't really eat a lot of shellfish, so I'm not sure if I'm even eating this right, but I'm gonna
You're doing good so far. Perfect.
All right, on. I like that. Got the shrimp in there. I'm full already, and I haven't even tried some of this stuff, man. Y'all do give a great portion size here.
It became the pier's been here for years and years and years. It became Oceanic in 1990, and it's been Oceanic ever since. It's a family-owned restaurant. You know, all of us that work here are locals. Can't get a better office view than the one that we have.
As Brian stated, Oceanic has built a lasting reputation for their service and atmosphere. Many people, including Brittany and myself, have memories of vacations and weekends spent in Wilmington that include nights dining or just hanging out on the pier at the Oceanic.
And while we are on the topic of memories, our next stop in Wilmington is a beautifully landscaped garden that has more than likely played host to many great memories. We know it has played host to several made-for-TV memorable moments, such as a marriage you may remember from One Tree Hill, or if you're a big fan of Dawson's Creek, chances are you have seen the inside of Airlie Gardens before. Airlie Gardens is a place with education, beauty, and history. The 67-acre public garden boasts architectural structures, a bottle chapel, and an oak tree over 470 years old. Okay, this is one of the most well-manicured pieces of land I've seen lately.
So this is our Airlie oak lawn, and it is taken care of. We baby it because it's the site of so many important events. It's the site of the North Carolina Azalea Festival annual Queen's Luncheon. We have our summer concert series here. We do our oyster roast in October on this lawn. And then every first and third Friday, May through September, we have a concert on the lawn. But most importantly, the oak lawn showcases our beautiful Airlie oak, the North Carolina State Champion live oak.
It's a big tree.
She is a big tree. She dates back to 1545, so she's 471 years old this year, and she's seen a lot. She survived Hurricane Hazel and all the hurricanes in the 90s, and has seen the gardens change and evolve, and she's still growing.
I love water, but I thought we came to see some gardens.
So one of the great things about Airlie Gardens is that it borders a tidal creek. And so right here we're on Bradley Creek, which goes out to the intracoastal, and it's a great teaching tool for our field trips. So we have over 3,000 kids a year come out here for field trips, and one of them is on water quality. And because Bradley Creek is filled with oysters but closed for shellfishing due to pollutions, we get to talk about how important the oyster is to our ecosystem, how each oyster filters 50 gallons of water every day.
How does this work with the gardens? They can just come on out here while they're walking around?
It's part of the tour, and so on our map we note where the dock is, and we even have some stations where you can pull up the rope and you can see what a cluster of oysters looks like.
Really? Can we do that today?
Sure! So oysters here grow in clusters, and oyster spat, which are their eggs, can only adhere to hard surfaces. So we've worked with several local groups like the Coastal Federation to rebuild some of the oyster roasts out here in Bradley Creek.
So are they real live oysters right there?
These are real live oysters right here.
Wow.
And so it's great because many of the kids, even though they live in Wilmington, have never seen an oyster or been this close to the Atlantic Ocean.
The well-manicured gardens have matured over time since 1901. Sarah Jones created this to be a private garden for her family and guests to enjoy when they visited the family property. Fortunately for us, this lush southern garden can be toured and enjoyed by any visitor now, and in many different ways.
So this is the Airlie Gardens Bridal Walk. It's one of the most popular areas for wedding ceremonies. And as we walk down the bridal walk, we get closer to the pergola, which has been featured in TV series like One Tree Hill, Dawson's Creek, as well as several different movies. And it was created in the early 1900s, and all of the columns are made of a unique combination of concrete and oyster shells known as tabby. And the pergola was one of the parts of the gardens that was added by Sarah and Pembroke Jones, and has remained as she envisioned it since the early 1900s. It's covered in Confederate jasmine, which is really fragrant in the spring. And then as we walk down the pergola, you'll see that she had steps created down into the Airlie Lake so that her guests wouldn't get their feet wet when they were getting in and out of rowboats. Airlie Gardens is part of the North Carolina State Birding Trail, and over the years we've identified more than 200 different species of birds in the gardens. And every month we have a bird hike with local experts and our environmental education staff, so they help you spot the birds, learn what their calls are, and then we record them in eBird so that we're going into a national database of what birds are in what parts of the country.
Walking through the gardens, you may find a place that comforts you more than others, and it is not at all unusual for some that visit the gardens frequently to have a favorite spot to take you.
Yes, this is my favorite part. This is the spring garden. The columns behind us would have led to where the original mansion was. And I just love the trees that have weathered the hurricanes, fallen over, but still kept growing. And then just the beauty of the magnificent oak trees surrounded by azaleas in the spring, and then this really peaceful and beautiful fountain.
Okay, so this is unique. I've never seen anything like this. What was the inspiration behind it?
The inspiration for this entire garden was Minnie Evans, who was part of the gardens for many, many years, first in the Joneses' house and then for the Corbett family. And she had a vision in her 40s that said paint or die. And the third time it happened, she described her room as completely lit up, so she started painting and drawing prolifically, and she was one of the most well-known visionary artists of our time. She loved symmetry, she loved fantastical creatures, and she loved bright colors. So she was not only inspired by the gardens, but also by the amazing tapestries and artwork that the Joneses had in their home. So when you enter the butterfly house, we have you shut the door behind you before you open the door in front of you so that we don't have any escapees. And just watch your step too, because some of the butterflies like to be basking in the sun. This is our butterfly house, and we have it open seasonally from about mid-May to mid-October. And it's just a beautiful, tranquil spot to come and enjoy the amazing etherealness of the butterflies.
What do you do with these butterflies in off-season?
So the butterfly lifespan is really not that long. So we are constantly restocking the butterfly house. The only butterfly that actually has a longer lifespan is each year the 4th generation of the monarch butterfly. And that's the one that does the big migration. So our butterflies are here for as long as they would be in nature, and then we replace them.
So we just toured the Airlie Gardens, and we saw a lot of really neat flowers and gardens, and a huge oak tree that was amazingly big. You guys have to come out here and see it for yourself, because there's really nothing like it. And on that note, I'm just going to sit here and enjoy the fountain for a while. If you are looking for something a little further from the water yet still in the heart of Wilmington, look no further than the Spring Hill Suites Wilmington Mayfair. This hotel does not skimp on accommodations. Its modern style has all suite rooms to fit your needs. Spring Hill Suites Wilmington Mayfair has spacious rooms, comfortable amenities, and a pleasant staff who are willing to go out of their way to make your stay a memorable experience. Their team looks forward to hosting events of any size. As a matter of fact, they just hosted a wedding right before we arrived.
Wilmington has attractions of all kinds for all ages, but one of the mainstays in Wilmington, definitely one that people come from all over to see, is the U.S.S. North Carolina battleship in downtown Wilmington. It sees thousands upon thousands of visitors a year and has something for every age group.
People come here to see the battleship, and what may surprise them is that there is a legacy of ships named North Carolina. Just like you might name a child after a favorite parent, grandparent, or uncle, the Navy loves to reuse the names of great ships. And here we have the first ship named North Carolina. This is the ship of the line North Carolina, and she served our country from 1824 to 1867. What's interesting is at the end of her career, she was actually receiving ship in New York City during the Civil War. It meant that new Marine and sailors recruits came aboard her to be trained. At the same time, there was actually a Confederate ironclad North Carolina, that was serving the South. So I like to say we had a North Carolina on each side of the Civil War.
Today, this ship holds the title U.S.S. North Carolina, and although it is retired from active duty, it is still a monument to our country's freedom because of the battles it has fought. During its heyday, this ship was considered one of the world's greatest sea weapons, and I wonder what it would have been like to be a young enlisted man aboard this ship during wartime.
At least on a battleship, everybody had a bed. Some people slept in cots, but everybody had a place to sleep. They didn't have to share like you sometimes hear about. And really, this is quite comfortable, honestly. I mean, people ran to join the Navy. You had beds and indoor plumbing, 3 hot meals a day, library, movies. I mean, if you're in the Marines and the Army, it's camping 24/7. We're standing outside one of the ship's bathrooms. They would call it the head. And there could be a whole line of guys waiting to go in here. So let's take a look. One thing to notice is the shape of this sink. It's shallow on this end, and it's getting deeper as it goes down this way. And at the deep end of the pool, so to speak, is the drain. Now, remember, all these guys are sitting here shaving, brushing their teeth, washing their face. And I sometimes ask the kids, which end do you want to be on? So if you've been on the ship a while, you want to be on this end, because if you're on that end, you get to see everybody spit and stuff. Also, if you're standing here, you're looking right into the toilets where the men are going to bathroom. So there absolutely is no privacy. When I first came here, one of the guys told me a story, and let's take a closer look at this. Again, there's no privacy here, so you're just sitting here. You can't see the fella next door, but you can see everybody else. And you'll notice the toilet paper overhead. So what the guys would tell me is if you thought they'd been sitting there a little too long and you really need to go, you take some toilet paper, you wad it up, you set it on fire, and you float it beneath people. And that gets it moving in a hurry, I guarantee it. One of the things people forget is this ship was built during the Depression, and even in the 40s, if you lived out in the country, in a rural area in North Carolina, you probably did not have electricity, and you may very well not have indoor plumbing. I know that my dad's folks lived in a small rural area of North Carolina, and even in 1960, they still were taking a bath in a tin tub, and were still using a wood stove. So again, and it didn't necessarily matter if you had money or not, it just depended on if the electrical lines ran that far, or if you'd gotten around to doing, different kind of your plumbing and stuff. I mean, even today, let's face it, if you live outside the city, you might be on well water. So things were actually looking pretty nice on this ship in terms of the amenities. And again, it's a reason people ran to join the Navy and be drafted into the Army.
During battle, the U.S.S. North Carolina would have been a force to be reckoned with. Its foreboding guns with massive firepower are the reason the ship survived being a part of every major offensive in the Pacific during World War II.
That red line, the red circle, shows how far away those 16-inch guns could reach. So I often tell visitors we could flatten Fort Fisher from here. We could shoot Southport. And even the inner line, that's for the 5-inch guns. They can fire 8 miles. So we can practically we could almost hit the beach out there. So it's almost to Wrightsville, just with the 5-inch guns. They can go 8 miles. Just amazing. These days our computers are so small. And again, this particular piece of equipment was really trying to track the rocking and rolling and pitching of the ship, because your guns have to stay on target no matter what the ship is doing. So they said it could look like the barrels were moving, but after the barrels might be still, maybe it's just the ship's moving. It's really interesting to watch. So this small box here, this is a lead sight computer, and these were every single 40mm gun and all the 20s had one of these. It's called a lead sight computer because it's going to compute that by the time it's computing the future position of the plane, so that in the seconds it takes your bullet to get those several miles out. That in this case, for the 40s, we're talking 2 miles. So how long is it going to take for your bullet to get there, and where will the plane be in the future? So it's like solving for a triangle.
Yeah, that makes sense. It's computing the lead. The lead
Yes.
tells you how to lead the target in order to
Yes. In fact, one of the phrases that was used by the executive officer, he told them, lead them like you would a flock of ducks. Can you imagine being the one to get to actually steer the battleship? Just phenomenal, just phenomenal. Sense of, I'm sure, power. And if you were young, I'm sure you'd be scared too, because we have these two chairs up here, and this would be, one of these would be the captain's chair, maybe referred to as the old man. And all the visitors who come to the ship like to pretend to be the captain or steer the ship. So, and if you're following the tour route, this is the last place you see on the battleship. If you come here, there are 9 levels to explore. So there's an awful lot of the ship to see. And if that's not enough, for the adults who still have a lot of curiosity, we have the Hidden Battleship Tour, a 4.5-hour exploration of behind the scenes. Awesome. This fall, we're going to have Fire Control, the brains behind the guns. We have one on just the guns themselves. We have Power Plant, which is our engineering program on propulsion, electrical, and distillation. We have a ship design program. Now for the kids, you can do birthday parties. We have weddings here, corporate dinners. They do filming. There's so many ways you can use and enjoy the ship. And another surprise is we are a state museum. We're the state's memorial to the more than 10,000 North Carolinians who died in the war, but we're self-supporting. So that's why we depend on you coming to visit the ship to help us keep her in this marvelous condition. We thank you for all your contributions to the Generations campaign. They're going to enable us to help restore the hull. We really appreciate your support, and we hope you will come and visit your battleship soon.
This On the Map series is brought to you by Chambliss and Rabel. For all your commercial and residential construction needs, contact Chambliss and Rabel today.
If you enjoyed our Wilmington series, check out our other series at onthemaptv.com. While you're there, be sure to join our mailing list for updates, travel tips, exclusive giveaways, and more. You can also join us on our travels by liking us on Facebook and following us on Instagram and Twitter.